All right, can you hear now? All right, yep. Welcome everybody. Hello out there. All right. That was Rosie's Bar and Grill, and they will be back. And we have the drummers over here. Thank them. They will come back, and we'll hear more from them. My name is Alice Kitchen. Thank you. Sister Berta and I have been co-chairing the second annual Women's Equality Week. Over a year ago, Sister Berta said to me, what can we do to bring rich women, poor women, and middle-class women together? Black women, white women, Hispanic women, Asian women, poor women, rich women, east of truth, west of state line. What can we do to make their lives better? How can we make sure they have affordable child care, that they have jobs that can support their families? We know that Sister Berta has been a leading force for these issues for a long time, 40 years. She's the co-founder of Operation Breakthrough. Sister Berta, I'd like you to take a moment to acknowledge and thank Sister Berta for all her work through all the years, for being
somebody or myself.
When I think of Sister Berta, I think of the conscience of our community. Sister Berta?
Well, thank you for coming. I've been around a long time, and we named our agency Operation Breakthrough because we were going to break through poverty, and we haven't. It's worse than when we came. When we came in 1967, there were no food pantries, there were no shelters for families. Everybody had the basics. The families we served, we thought were poor because they didn't have a car or a TV. They all had utilities. And as I watch what's happening, these women are trapped. And unless all of us stand up and say, we're not going to take this anymore, it's going to get worse. Missouri is the last in the nation what a mom can make and have child care. She makes $8.10 an hour and has one kid, the state will pay for her child care. If her boss says you're the best worker I've ever had and says I'm going to give you a 10-cent raise, if she takes it, she loses child care, she loses some housing, and she loses some food stamps. So we have to get together and say, we're not going to put up with this anymore. If we could do for poverty and women and children what we've done for breast cancers and Mother Against Drunk Driving, we could fix it. And if we could do what we've done for puppies, we'd be in great shape. But anyway, we can do all of this. We need to take care of puppies, but we need to take care of our children and our women and people. And so I ask you to work on all of this and keep your legislators. They don't want to fool with our moms a lot of times, but we need everybody to push for this. And thank you. I was hoping it wouldn't rain today, but I neglected to think about, well, it'll be awful hot. But thanks for coming.
And now I want to introduce the Kansas leader on our core team, and that is Kathy Breidenthal. She is a part of our planning committee. She is a representative from Kansas. She's well known in Kansas as a leader in the nonprofit area, in the civic community, and is elected to be a trustee on the Kansas City, Kansas Community College Board of Trustees. Kathy?
I'll get real close. Okay. Good hot afternoon. It could get a little hotter when we get going, which is a good thing. Let's create some heat and some energy. First of all, it is my honor to thank our women legislators in Johnson County and Wyandotte County. And if any of you are here and I missed you, say hello, wave, whatever, because it is so important that we not just recognize them and thank them today, but we support them in their often lonely journey at the state legislature. They need our support. They need to hear from us. And of course, they need our vote, and we need to get others to vote. That's the most important thing, and that's what this event is all about. So please be active, because our biggest enemy is sometimes apathy, not just division, but apathy. And I'd like to, if I can read the small print, recognize all of our sponsors today. And their sponsors, their participating organizations, and without them, this would not be the event it is and will be for the future. Wall of Women's Achievement, and you will see that. It's amazing. I want to make sure you go by and see this wonderful display. Greater Kansas City Women's Political Caucus of Kansas City, Missouri. Very important partner with our organization. The League of Women Voters. Talked about voting, really important. Kansas City, Jackson, Clay, and Platte. El Centro, Inc., a key organization as we're talking about the DREAM Act and the Dreamers and immigration and voting suppression. El Centro, Inc., key partner. Operation Breakthrough, I think you've heard about that. What would we do without Operation Breakthrough Metro-wide for our women, children, and families? American Association of University Women. We have one of these now at Kansas Community College, connected with the Greater, and we're thrilled to have that there. Missouri Women's Leadership Coalition. Loretto, Kansas City. The Mainstream Coalition, I'm a proud member of the Mainstream Coalition. Very important in this electoral process and advocacy for progressive candidates. KKFI 90.1 FM, community radio. They have some programs that you want to be sure and tune in to this week. Zonta Club of Kansas City 2 in Missouri. Urban Training Centers, LLC. Kansas City Public Library. Kansas City, Kansas Public Library. Greater Kansas City Building Trades Council. We are going to have a wonderful woman leader that's going to do a workshop on Monday. Elise Martini. She's fabulous, dynamic, so be sure and try to tune in. Women's Foundation of Greater Kansas City. Wonderful research and funding for women and girls' issues. Kansas City, Kansas Community College. Yay! That's my college, yes. ACLU of Kansas and Western Missouri. Djimbi James, Women Drummers. Gotta have that beat. Keep the beat. Keep the beat up for our voices. Johnson Wyandotte County Now. National Organization of Women, of course. I don't need to tell any of you that. Central Exchange. Once again, a great partner with an event at Central Exchange. Planned Parenthood of Kansas and Mid-Missouri. Right over there. Visit the table. Support the organization. National Archives of Kansas City. New partner, we're going to have an event there. Great facility. League of Women Voters, Johnson County, Kansas. National Organization for Women, Missouri and Kansas. KC Metro Now, Johnson Wyandotte County Now. MANA de Kansas City. Yes, very important right now. Coalition of Labor Union Women. I know I can hear you out there. Okay. Jackson County Democrats. Women Police Foundation. WIP. Any representatives out there? And last but not least, Missouri Pro Vote. Support the organizations, support your women progressive legislators. They have a battle that they've been waging, and they have more to come. Thank you so much.
All right, moving right along. We are here to recognize the 93rd anniversary of women getting the vote. We also know that the march on Capitol Hill is going on celebrating civil rights. A long road for both organizations and movements, and a long way to go. Our theme suggests, if you read the flyer, that we're not celebrating as such. We're recognizing that we got the vote 93 years ago. We are now citizens and we can vote. And tomorrow is the actual anniversary. So we feel like we're being pushed back decades, but moving forward. The wall of woes is a wall of our lamentations and our sorrows, the things that have not been achieved. We encourage you to put your own comments on that wall, but get your courage and your inspiration from the wall of women's achievements. Get your indignation, your righteous indignation, to act and pull out the rage and use courage to act and go forward. We know that we haven't progressed because in Missouri and Kansas, neither state agreed to make health care reform a possibility for all the uninsured. We still don't have equal pay for equal work. We still don't have access to voting without unreasonable barriers. We still are not represented 50% in the Congress, in the House, or in the local government governing bodies. We still lack freedom of choice and the availability of reproductive services. We still don't have Affordable Care Act, affordable care, child care, and jobs for women who need them to support their families. Look at the call to action sheet on our sign-in table, and that will give you what you're going to hear about a little bit later. And now I want to say one thing. We're now going to move it to our Mistress of Ceremonies, Diane Cleaver. Diane is known to all of you. Diane is a leader in our community in the field of mental health, physical health, education, community development. She is the wife of our U.S. Representative Emanuel Cleaver. She is a daughter. Often her mother comes to these events, a mother and a grandmother. She is truly our First Lady. Join with me in welcoming Diane Cleaver.
Thank you, thank you. I am honored to be here, honored to have been invited. I think last year we were dancing between the raindrops. No, you don't have to do that. Yeah. Dancing between the raindrops. Today we're basking in the glow of the sun and baking a little bit in the glow of the sun. But we're tough and we're going to be quick, so we're going to enjoy ourselves. So I'll add my welcome to all of the welcomes that have gone before, and to those of you who are here. Today, we're in the midst of celebrating the 50th anniversary of the March on Washington. My husband had the honor of being there for that yesterday. So we have a number of civil rights milestones that we're celebrating, and we're delighted about that. We know that we're still facing a multitude of difficulties in spite of how far we've come. We know that the Voting Rights Act, key provision of the Voting Rights Act, was struck down by the Supreme Court 5-4. And this will just increase the challenges that we face at a time when we should be encouraging more and more people to get out to vote. What's happening is we're passing laws that discourage women, people of color, seniors, students, and the poor from voting. So we really have some work to do. We know that in 1920, women's suffrage became part of our Constitution. That guaranteed us our voice at the ballot box. We also know this right came with a lot of struggle. Women were beaten and jailed to get this right. The movement was called irrelevant. To me, that's so hard, to imagine. Getting women the right to vote, that's an irrelevant issue. But we've come a long way from that. At the 1916 Democratic Convention, women lined the streets all along the way to the convention hall in a silent protest, so all the men going to the Democratic Convention could see their silent protest standing strong there. So they were saying, we're here and we're not going away. And we are saying the same thing today. Do what you like with the Voting Rights Act. Do what you like with other laws that you pass or try to pass that push our rights back. We're here and we're not going away. That has not changed. We also are we're delighted that many of our male legislators at all levels of government deserve our applause as well. They support us. They're our partners in this effort as we seek to forward women's issues. So what are these women issues? Well, I think no one said it better than Gloria Steinem. She was asked this many times, and she said, name one issue that is not a woman's issue. Whether you're talking about health care, education, child care, a livable wage, the right to unionize, a healthy and sustainable environment, or food security. All these are women's issues. So we're all over all of that. And that is why we need progressive women at all levels of our government, and they must have our continuing support. Listen, progressive women and progressive men are a lot of things, including tolerant. So we have some people who've joined us here today who don't agree with us. You see their signs, they're walking around. Hey, we're fine with that. You have the right to disagree because progressive people are tolerant. As long as you're not disrupting us, we're tolerant of other views, even though we strongly disagree. So, feel free to walk around. That does not change what we're doing or how we feel because that's who we are. Now, but we as a community have to insist that voting be made more, not more difficult, but easier. It is really a shame for the clock to turn back and for these laws about the kinds of IDs. So, for example, in some states, student IDs issued by their school aren't any good. What are they trying to do there? I mean, it's very obvious. Young people tend to vote progressive. So those are the votes they're trying to disenfranchise. We cannot allow that to happen. I know that the Congressional Black Caucus is about to mount an effort to kind of do a state-by-state battle along with other civil rights organizations to challenge these laws. And we as progressive women, I know we will be right there with them in doing that challenge. Okay, we owe this to ourselves, to our children and grandchildren, and we also owe it to those women who were beaten and jailed and who stood up in 1916 and 17 and 18. We owe it to them not to allow their work to be turned back in any way. So our challenges continue. We've risen to the challenges before. We'll do so again. We will march forward. Now, here to share a vision of women's achievement that we can be so proud of is the creator of the Wall of Women's Achievement. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me in welcoming Jane McLean.
Okay. Failure is impossible. Did you hear that? Failure, can you hear me out there? Failure is impossible. Yes. Those are the words that Susan B. Anthony spoke as she handed over the reins of the women's movement to Carrie Chapman Catt in 1900. And Susan B. Anthony is the first woman on the Wall of Women's Achievement with just those words there. to remind us of the struggle that Diane so eloquently told you about to get the vote. Now, what have we done since we got the vote? We created the Wall of Women's Achievement in 1995 at the 75th anniversary of the ratification of the 19th Amendment. And it is, when we took it down that day, I knew that it couldn't be just a one-day stand. So we brought the pictures back and we started the Wall of Women's Achievement. Now, it celebrates the accomplishments of women in pictures and words. It chronicles our journey towards full equality. We knew that getting the vote was a major step, absolutely fundamental, but the issues have been there all along. As you look at the wall, you can see, just without reading a word, the pictures are big, and then they get smaller and smaller as more and more women. It's out there, and it is to rehearse and remember the accomplishments of women. Women in sports, women in the arts, women in politics, women in the military. And it's to do every ethnic group, every citizen, so that we can remember our journey towards getting equality. Now, it could be just a her story, a woman's history, but it's not meant to be that. It's meant to integrate women into the history of the United States and the world, in fact, as we have become more and more active in leadership, and to see how women, although they may not have been mentioned, have taken part in the major events in history. Take the Depression. There's Frances Perkins, who was, when you find out about her, the architect of the New Deal. And you can learn more about her on Wednesday at the Plaza Library during Women's Equality Week. There's women, World War II, the women who trained the pilots, the women who flew the supplies. There's the civil rights movement, the fantastic job that women did in that, and the Ella Bakers, the Septima Clarks, the Fannie Lou Hamers, the Rosa Parks. And you can learn more about them on Tuesday night at UMKC Multicultural Center. Then there's women in politics. I'd like you to find Martha Wright Griffiths. She was born in Pierce City, Missouri, graduated from the University of Missouri in Columbia. She became a representative from Michigan. She was the one who saw that the word sex, we'd use the word gender today, got into the Civil Rights, Title VII of the Civil Rights Act in 1965. And she was the woman who introduced and saw that the Equal Rights Amendment got through Congress in the 70s. And speaking of the Equal Rights Movement, we still haven't gotten there, and today more than ever, we probably need... Can you hear me now? Okay. Okay. We need this Equal Rights Amendment. We need the protection of having it in the Constitution. When we saw what happened to the Voting Rights Act, we were so thankful that we had a constitutional amendment to protect the right of women to vote. There's 3 states that need to ratify it. Come to the National Archives on Tuesday night, and we'll learn about the 3-state strategy and the role that we as voters in Missouri and in the United States can do about that? Well, you can see that we've come a long way, and we've done a lot. And the way we were in 1900 is far different from what we are today. But you can also look at the wall, and you can see that it's 2009, and we've had to pass the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act, and we still know what's going on. You can look up there and see that, hooray, there are 20 women in the Senate. Well, it is 2013, and we only have a fifth of the women in the Senate. There's still a long ways to go. And you can look there, you know, you can see Sarah Weddington, who won the argument in Roe v. Wade before the Supreme Court at the age of 26. And we've still got, I'm honoring Sandra Fluke for standing up for women's reproductive rights in 2012. So we've got a long way to go. We need to have art forms like the Wall of Women's Achievement, art forms like the Iron-Jawed Angels or the Makers program on PBS, so that we can rehearse the journey, and we can get inspiration, and we can get courage to be able to push back against the forces that would limit our equality, and to march forward in the struggle for full equality. Now, I have a chant. This is my own chant, and it's about equality. And it goes like this. Every woman gets up in the morning, stands before her mirror, and says, I am fully equal. I am fully equal. I am fully equal. And every man gets up in the morning and looks into the mirror and says, I am merely equal. I am merely equal. I am merely equal. So, failure is impossible. Susan B. Anthony said so, and she ought to know.